One of the best ways to use ChatGPT to increase your productivity is to help you brainstorm. So, one thing that often happens to me is I want to have some sort of classroom activity to illustrate a concept that I'm teaching in one of my economics classes. But if I'm short on time and ideas, sometimes it can be hard to come up with something at the last minute. So, ChatGPT can really help streamline the process and help you come up with an idea, design the instructions, and even create the document to pass out to your students. So, for example, I was recently teaching my students about inflation, and I realized that after a certain amount of time of talking about inflation, it's going to be helpful to show them how inflation actually occurs. But I didn't know how to do that in some sort of classroom activity. So, when you're using ChatGPT to brainstorm an idea, it's helpful to give it some sort of context about who you are and who you're teaching and what kind of activity you want. So I'm going to write, I'm a college professor of economics. I'm currently teaching my class about inflation. Please design an in-class activity to show my students how inflation occurs. So this is the first idea it came up with. It's going to be called the inflation game, and it has an objective and the materials needed. So I'll need play money, goods, event cards, price and wage list. So I can already see this is going to be a pretty time-consuming setup. And then it describes the game, which has 2 rounds, and what to discuss afterwards and the learning outcomes. So it's kind of on the right track, but it's not going to fit for something that I want to teach maybe tomorrow in my next class. So now I'm going to write a second prompt to try and refine the idea or come up with something new. So in this one I'm going to write, please design a different activity that requires minimal setup and can be done in 30 minutes or less. So the second idea that ChatGPT came up with is called the inflation auction, and this is actually very similar to what I actually did in class, and it did take about 30 minutes. It does say you need some play money, but I just gave them some money in Excel and showed it on the board, so I didn't have to pass out anything. And of course, I don't need an auctioneer's gavel. So the setup was really quick. It has 2 rounds. Basically, the students bid on a good, and then I increase the amount of money that everyone has, and then they bid again, and they can see the prices go up. And then it has a debrief about what to talk about with the students afterwards. So this is looking pretty good, but I need to take this and put it in some sort of document that I can either pass out or have in front of me when I run the activity. So one thing that you can do is go over here to this little clipboard and just copy everything, and then open up a Word document. You can just paste it right in there. So this still needs a lot of help because it's still talking to me at the top. It says, certainly Dr. Meyer. It doesn't look that great. There's some stuff I want to change in the directions, and I want to remove the debrief from it if I'm going to pass it out to the students. So what I'm going to do now is ask ChatGPT to turn this into a document that I can use in class. And this is where using a plugin can be really helpful. ChatGPT has a lot of uses, but there's a lot of stuff that just isn't there when you start it. But you can download plugins to help you do this. Now this is something that you are going to have to pay for the ChatGPT 4, which is $20 a month right now. But it does have a lot of extra features that are really helpful. So in ChatGPT 4, what you want to do is hover over this icon and make sure plugins is checked so that you can use the plugins. And then underneath that, in this little drop-down menu, go here, and here's all the plugins that I've downloaded. To download a plugin, you just go to the bottom, go to the plugin store, search for what you want. So I'm going to use PDF Creator. And then this is already installed, but if I didn't have it installed, you just click the install button. And once you have it, you go to this drop-down and highlight or check the one that you want. You can check 3 at a time. And then I'm going to go back to my inflation game. And now back at my prompt for the inflation auction, I need to type in a command to use that plugin. And each one I think has different wording. For the PDF creator, you just say create PDF of something. So create PDF of this activity that I can hand out to students. Now once it's done creating it, you just click on the link and it'll give you the basic text on the left, and this is what the PDF looks like on the right, so it looks a little bit better. You can download this as both a PDF document or a Word document, and then it's a good idea to proofread everything because ChatGPT can just put in some weird stuff every now and then, so you just want to make sure everything looks okay. And then you can probably change the formatting a little bit too. So I've used this a couple of times this semester and it's been pretty successful. Usually has come up with something that I couldn't come up with on my own. And actually for this activity, my students really enjoyed it. So give it a shot next time you need some ideas for designing a classroom activity.